Hello? Hello? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Mm-mm. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream. I'm so hungry right now. Very much so hungry right now. Hey, Testicle, how's it going, man? Good to see you. Very good to see you, brother. I'm having a good day today. A friend of mine gave me a notebook, and I went through some stuff recently, but I was talking to her about like self-reflection, stuff like that, writing journals. So I used to journal on this thing here, which is an iPad, but now I have this thing with a really fancy fountain pen, and yeah, they also left me like a really nice card with a really nice message in it. So, anyways, I think I'm gonna use this for some of my interviews. How did journaling go previously? I would do it for like an extended period of time, and then I would stop because I get too distracted. But my friend, she has this like system that you can use to journal. So like it's called the 5 minute journal. So you write about like things you're grateful about, things you I should remember. That's how serious I take journaling. I like the idea of journaling, but I don't do it as much as I should. But now I will. I think I'm in like in the middle of like this growth period where I'm like really excited for all the things that I learned recently, and yeah, I find myself like listening more deeply when I'm talking to people, and people actually notice that, and they're like, "Yo, I know how to communicate when I need like time by myself, need space." Anyways, I'm gonna talk about all that stuff today, but we're gonna talk about clock code today. But yeah, I've had a good day. So I slept like 7 hours, 7.5 hours last night, which is more than more than the amount of sleep that I usually get every day in the past 2 weeks. Which means I'm thinking clearly today. Yeah, exactly. It's like sometimes in my life I slow down and I appreciate the moment, and I'm fully present with people, and I'm starting to see the there's so much upsides to that, right? So much alpha in that. So I'm gonna go do that more often because it helps me slow down my ADHD as well. So it's great. But I'm here to talk about clock code today. So let me pull up clock code stuff here and talk to you guys about it. Clock code. Okay, so I'm gonna switch to my screen here, and as you guys can see, we got this right here. Hopefully, yeah, should be good. So last time we talked about custom slash commands. It's very simple. It's just a prompt wrapper. And today we're going to talk about when and why we would use something like sub agents. So let's take a look at that together. Clock code sub agents. I'm going to be on here for about half an hour because I'm in the middle of a move, and I don't think I have time for more than that. I don't think. Okay, there we go. It's much better. You can see my face. Yeah. Subagents. Let me just give you the kind of like the TLDR of subagents. They're basically context separate from the main agent loop. That's the main selling point, which is that you don't pollute the main context window. So when you run like Claude Code, you have the main loop that you're running, right? So you're running, you know, you're tackling a task, you're making it like plan something, and you have this long history of conversation. If you want to do like a one-off task, that will pollute the conversation as well. And the more information we have in the messages history, the harder it is for our agent to focus on the next thing. Especially when those still things are kind of like, oh, can you run tests? Oh, can we debug this? Can we debug that? And then you're 20 messages down, and that debug thing is still in the context window of your Claude Code agent. So what we want to do is we want to kind of like separate that into its own kind of like timeline, handled by a different agent. So development / homework, and then we go on here, and then we can do agents. Agents is where you manage your sub agents, and they're basically agents, right? What makes an agent? You got the prompt, and you got the tools. So the tools could be built-in Claude tools, or they could be tools that you make yourself. And they could also be MCP servers. So when we talk about MCP servers' role in the whole like agent like ecosystem, they're usually there to give the agent more resources. And most of the time, those resources are just tools. So let's read this together, because if you're new to subagents, if you're new to using Claude Code, if you're new to all this stuff, I strongly recommend that obviously you can consume content like this of me talking to you and digesting all this information through my own lens. But I want you to get into the habit of just read the freaking documentation and read it word by word. And then usually the source of truth is a doc, and they usually explain pretty well. And sometimes I have to reread them because I miss certain definitions of things. So yeah, hopefully my face not too big. Okay. Let's read this together. So subagents create and use specialized AI subagents in Claude Code for specific tasks, specific workflows, and improve context management. Most people who are influencers would talk about this stuff, which is, oh, you have an agent, a sub-agent that is an architect. You have a sub-agent that does QA. To be honest, none of that shit really matters. And they're kind of missing the point. The point is we want to be surgical about our context management. So what I mean by that, messages history, what does the main agent see? Because the less it sees and the more specific information it sees pertaining to the task at hand, the better. So don't want to pollute the conversation with sub things, right? Custom agents in Claude Code are specialized AI assistants. This is kind of a reach that can be invoked to handle specific types of tasks. So sub agents, you can give them description of when to invoke them. So you could either invoke them manually by just selecting them. In this case, I believe I can just do that. So I have an architect planner here, which I made a while ago. Or so you can either select it and then run it like that, or you can make it so that your main agent will call the sub agent at a certain point you can explicitly say, hey, use the sub agent architect planner to plan, or you just give your architect planner a really good description, and then hopefully the main agent would know to call that when you ask the main agent that, hey, I want to plan this new feature. Hopefully it'll pass that on to the architect planner. And usually, the documentation doesn't really say this, but usually for agent handoffs, it's usually a tool call. And if you want like a almost like a framework to think about this, yeah, you can look up OpenAI Agents SDK. So this one is very lightweight, heavily abstracted, and gives you a pretty good understanding of like how multi-agent system works. And for something like OpenAI Agents SDK, a handoff from one agent to another is just a tool call. The tool being the name of the next agent. So for the main agent, let's go on FigJam real quick. Shout out to my sister putting me on this. I don't know if I should say that. Maybe she'll get in trouble, but I get to use Figma. Although if my sister didn't work at Figma, I probably would never pay for it. Not that I'm paying for it now, if you know what I mean. So we have the main agent, right? Main agent. It's just what your regular Claude Code stuff, and then these are just your tools. So you got web search. You got read file. You got write file. And then this agent has access to these tools, right? And when we add a sub-agent, in the context window of the main agent, it's literally just another agent. Yeah, and this would be like essentially a handoff tool. And this will have the context of the description of the agent, of the sub-agent, so that we know when to hand it off. So again, it's like the same concept over and over, right? React agents. So given a set of tools, pass it on to the right tools. Sometimes tools could be workflow. Sometimes tool could be a function call. Sometimes tool could be another agent. So I just want to kind of explain to you guys how this handoff process works for the majority of these like agentic frameworks out there. Okay, so what are sub-agents? Sub-agents are pre-configured AI personalities. This is quite accurate. These are just prompts with specific sets of tools. And another thing that we haven't talked about, and I don't think influencers actually talk about this stuff. When you open up like a video from an influencer, it's always like, these are the 20 ways you can use your terminal with like RGB lights. I don't know why that matters. Like RGB lights and like 200 shortcuts. Like there's a tweet about this too. It's like people who have those kinds of setups never manage to build anything useful. That's just I think in other aspects in life or in other fields, the people who are like into tactical or gearheads, you just like the tool so much that your whole life is the tool and not necessarily like you're missing the point kind of deal. But what I'm trying to say is, I'm gonna stop ranting. Yeah, so AI personalities. Another thing that influencers don't actually talk about is that your agent might have a bunch of tools, like too many tools. Everything you stuff into the agent, it takes up space and performance in your context, right? So let's say you have a tool, you get the tool name, tool description, argument description, a chunk of paragraph in your prompt. Imagine 50 of those. Obviously, your agent is going to have a difficult time differentiate between different tools. The performance in terms of like picking the right arguments for those tools might also degrade if there are too many tools. So, sub-agents is a great way to black box certain groups of tools together. So, this is I'm going to show you like this is the before and after here. So, I'd say 10 research tools. Even though it's one box, it's 10. And then we got, let's say like 5 coding tools. And then we got maybe like, I'd say, I just gotta reduce the size of this. And then we have something like 5 QA tools. And then the agent is, all the definition of these tools are in the context window of this main agent. And then you have this MCP server, right? 25 tools from MCP server. Maybe that server is like GitHub MCP server or something. And you have that. And now, I don't know how to do math, even though I'm Asian, but 10, 15, 20, 45 tools, right? It's not going to cut it. Your agent's going to have a hard time, choosing between different tools, especially in tools that are in the same group as well. Because a tool that reads files in batch in parallel versus a tool that reads files, it probably won't be able to differentiate that properly unless you do some heavy prompt engineering. You could do all this stuff, but instead of doing it like that, you just do this. So let me just write this down here. So available tools in main agents, context 45, quite high, right? Large. Yeah, so I'm gonna put this here just so we know, and then I move this here because I don't know why I write it like that. Yeah, big number, 45. So we go over here. Instead of doing it like this, we have subagent research, subagent coder, subagent I forgot what it was, QA, and then subagent. Maybe this is like what's a good MCP server? Let's say MCP server, like Stripe MCP server, for example. Subagent payment, and now obviously these subagents will have the tools available for them, and then the available number of tools in the agent's context is now 4. Like I said again, agent hands-offs are usually a tool call, so these are the tools that are available to the agent. 4 versus 45, and then this one will have 10 tools. This one will have 5 tools. So then none of the sub-agents also have like a crazy amount of tools either. And obviously you can, I don't know if you can do like sub-agents. I don't think you can. Can you? Actually, let me look it up. Can you do subagent subagents for Claude Code? Okay, so it's just a tool call, right? You just keep calling the next tool. So maybe you can. But today, those subagents cannot themselves spawn further subagents, so the hierarchy is effectively one level deep. I would say that you can work around this by creating a custom tool, and the tool is essentially an agent. Although I don't know if the tool execution part would be run as an agent loop. I don't think it will be. But yeah, it's still get cute with this. Like I don't think this is like a pattern that is like super scalable either. But what I'm trying to say is like you get better performance in theory if you were to separate things out as subagents. That's pretty much it. Like that's the reason why we would use it. So to improve context engineering performance, to keep the amount of tools to a acceptable number for the main agent, and because people online tell us to do it. So those are the main 3 reasons. And feel free to ask me questions in the chat as well. I'll be happy to answer questions and stuff. Okay. So yeah, pre-configured AI personalities has a specific purpose, expertise area. Yeah, uses own context window. Very important. Context engineering can be configured with a specific tool. So you have a list of allowed tools Or sometimes, your main agent, like going back to this, your main agent has access to all these tools, but what if at certain moments you want to be like, okay, I just want to like not write to the files. I just want to like do read operations like research, web search, all that stuff, and reading files as opposed to writing to anything. So subagents actually help with that. Context preservation. Each subagent operates in its own context, prevent pollution of the main conversation. There you go. And keeping it focused on high-level objectives. So main agent just kind of like know what you're trying to architect, and then the details of like the implementation details are they all belong to the subagents, so that when you go back to the main conversation, it's not like worried about this one little details that you talked about. That's part of a task that's already done. Specialized expertise. Subagents can be fine-tuned with detailed instructions for specific domains, leading to higher success rates. Yeah, if you like go ham on like subagents prompting, then you could potentially get better performance. Because if you try to make the main agent be good at everything, then you don't optimize for any of these things, right? Because like every time you want it to be a little bit better, let's say our old use case, right? Every time you want the agent to be better at research, you gotta prompt it a little bit for research, and then you gotta have to like back test, for regression, whether or not it's worse at QA or payment and all that stuff, right? So just a separation concern. And I think Harrison Chase talked about this in sometimes when he talks about multi-agent systems versus like single agent system, which is that sometimes it's easier for you to run evals and like improve specific agents with niche kind of specialties, because then you're only testing against one domain as opposed to like 5 domains, right? Like this agent should be tested against like picking and choosing the right subordinate, but these ones will be tested against their expertise. This freaking agent would be tested against 4 different domain expertise, which is hard to optimize for and hard to see like a increase in performance across all. Like it's almost like it sounds like we're trying to pre-train like the next big model or something. It has to be like a general artificial intelligent being. Can't just be good at one thing. Reusability, so you can move the configuration file for subagents back and forth, different code bases. It could be a global level, I believe, and it could be project specific. So certain projects, maybe you have like a Next.js code base. You can have a Next.js agent. Actually, I might do that. So you just add the configuration file there, and then now you just be like, ask Next.js agent for like most up-to-date docs or something, and then it should do that. I might actually do that. I think that I like that idea. Like a Supabase agent in my code base, Next.js agent, etc. Yeah, so these are the steps to create. Like I said again, you just /agent and then you create one, and then you just kind of like. But I'm just gonna show you what it looks like when you create one. So you project or personal. Personal is global to your account locally. Project is per project. And then you can generate the prompt for the agent using Claude. So you give it like a description, and then it'll write a better prompt for you. Or you can do manual. You can do test. And then this agent can do quality assurance. When to use, this is when your main agent will be able to call the sub-agent. When user is asking about testing, and then you can choose different types of tools that are available to the agent. This is where our separation of concern comes into place, right? Like, you get built-in Claude tools. If you have MCP server, that's going to show up here as well. Very important. So what I'll do is, and that's great that they like group them into categories like this as well. So read tools and write tools have different privileges, which means that sub-agents could have different privileges from the main agent. Execution tools are just like bash script writing tools. Bash script execution tools. And if you run like ls, if your Cloud Code run ls or cat and stuff like that, it's also counted as execution tool, I believe. And there are like about 14 tools that are available for Cloud Code out of the box. I don't have anything custom here, but yeah, you can go in here, you can see exactly what tools Cloud Code has access to, which is great if you're building agents, because you can then almost like copy their stuff or something, you know what I mean? And To Do is actually its own tool. But yeah, that's the gist of sub agents. I can't say that I use this a lot. So if you do use sub agents a lot, you gotta let me know. Maybe I should reach out to those influencers who says that they have like 50 sub agents, and then figure out like how they actually use them. But yeah, let me just read the chat real quick before I pop off. Oh, Dwayne's here today. What's up, Dwayne? Hello, Isolated. Okay. Context management with Cloud Code. Yeah, let me know what you mean by context management with Cloud Code. Like, what specific topics in that area do you want to talk about? Because context management for agents is like pretty big thing. So, I think links are shown in chat. So, turning Cloud Code into my best design partner. That's cool. Let me just actually Google that. I always trust Testy Cool suggestions. I'm assuming this is like some sort of MCP hookup with Cloud Code. Is it like Figma or something? Let's see. Oh, this is straight prompting. This is sick. I gotta go eat real quick, but I will read that later. But yeah, guys, sub agents. Now you know why you would use it. Oh yeah, let me grab this. Thanks, Testy Cool. That's a homie right there. Okay, I'll watch that later. Oh, this is YC. This is from YC. Or where's this? Hi everybody. Oh yeah, it's a YC talk. That's great. I will read this. I mean, I will watch this. All right, man. See y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow we got hooks. This is something I'm actually gonna be using. I would argue that hooks is probably more important than you think. If you want to remove your AI SDK agent and all these other like LangGraph and all that stuff in your code base, and you're building agents, and use Cloud Code as your main agent loop, which you can, hooks is very important. I don't know if I should talk about hooks first or SDK first. Well, I guess hooks does work with like the interactive interface, so I guess I should talk about hooks first. But yeah, tune in tomorrow, same time. Maybe I'll tell you guys about what kind of stuff I write in here. No, I won't, but I'll tell you what it's like to be even more performative starting today, because I have this journal and all that. But yeah. Tune in tomorrow. I'll see you guys later. You're interested in seeing my workflow? My workflow is I work until I hate myself, and then I go do something else. But yeah, I'll see y'all tomorrow.